you shower and hope that's enough to prevent BO all day. Instead of crossing my fingers, I now use Mando whole body deodorant. Showering removes odor, but because of the high pH in soap, your body odor is going to come back with a vengeance. By lowering your skin's pH, Mando helps to keep your body smelling fresh for longer. Mando is clinically proven to help control odor for up to 72 hours. So start using Mando whole body deodorant anywhere for long-lasting odor control. Here's the deal. All new customers get $5 off Mando's best-selling starter pack. Just use the code Chael at shopmando.com. I personally love how many options Mando offers. Mando is available in solid sticks, invisible cream, body wash, cleaning bars, and deodorant wipes for use on the go. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice, and free shipping. New customers get $5 off a starter pack with our exclusive code Chael at shopmando.com. That equates to over 40% off your starter pack. Or just click on the link below. Islam made a statement about 170 pounds, and he just said that, yeah, he in fact wants to go to 170 pounds. In fact, he went a little bit further, which was to say that's one of his goals is champ. And perhaps Islam has told you guys that before. I haven't heard him say it. I know that was flirted with. I know for UFC 300, there was the idea of Islam versus Leon. But, and I also understand that Islam, for sure, as big as he is going to end up at 170 or he's going to end up retired. But that's a very different thing than champ. Being a champ over here, and then news story coming about being a champ over here, that's a very different thing. Champ exclusively is simultaneous. And that is the official definition. Now, if you go look up champ, you're going to see guys' names added to that, including Georges St-Pierre, who gets pulled into that. But technically shouldn't be. Champ is simultaneous. Okay. Now, George never lost at 170, right? That's where the history books, you had to be there, because if you read the story, you'll miss it. He never lost, but he had walked away. He'd even gone into retirement, just to remind you. And it's a very big deal. It's a very big deal if you're a record keeper. Like, if you're into those kinds of things, and when guys talk about their legacy, that's all they're talking about. They're talking about having done more and having different records or more records and achievements than other people, which then obviously would drive them to the top, right? I mean, you guys know about this. You remember the guy walking the hallways in school, and he'd have the Letterman's jacket like everybody else, but he had a whole bunch of stars on it, and he had stripes, and then you got the really cool guy. He's maybe even got some patches on the arm. More. We're just talking about more than the other guy. Competition. Understand that? So, the reason I say that, okay, I don't know Islam, but I'd like to. Like, I know that group. In everything I observe, I like him. And he's, like, secretly really charming. And he's a stone cold badass that's really humble, who can beat anybody they've ever stuck in that cage with him, but has guys that come into practice every day at 3 that he can't have his way with. And he insists that those guys are there. Like, he's a different guy, right? He's the kind of guy that can have all these successes. He's the rich kid that doesn't turn into a brat. That never happens. Okay. So, but hear me out on this, because every guy has a guy. And I don't know, I think this might be gender exclusive. I don't know if it's that way with females. I can tell you, every guy has a guy, whether you know who that is or not, that he looks up to. Everybody. That could go back to high school. There's a number of different things. Islam's guy is well disclosed, and it's Khabib. And Khabib did a number of amazing things within his career, but he did one unique thing in his career. And that was when he didn't want to make 155 pounds anymore. Instead of going up to 170, he exited the sport. And instead of being in the discussion for the greatest ever and the champ and all these different things, he put all of his eggs in one basket, which is the greatest lightweight. And it was a risk, but he got it. He is unanimously considered the greatest lightweight of all time. I'm well aware that many people say he's the greatest fighter of all time. I'm just sharing with you. He went after one thing and got it. So when I talk about him being the guy to our current principle of interest here, which is Islam, a great way to guess what Islam is going to do is the roadmap that's laid out, which just means the guy that he looks up to, what did he do? And there was a part of me that had a little bit of a fear because I don't want to lose Islam. I didn't like when we lost Khabib. Right, I was with you guys. I wanted Dana to win that debate. I wanted him to come around. I was hoping this was secretly about money, but it wasn't. So Islam also, right, and that's the thing about Khabib. He would tell you, at least in private, that there's something to what Chael is saying. It doesn't have to be 100% right, but there's a massive something to what I'm saying, a good 75 to 80%, which is his level of interest in competing and fighting and defending his belt, whatever that was, whatever his lack of interest, is I've achieved and I'm done, whatever his lack of interest was outweighed by, I don't want to beat the scale anymore. And this is a very common thing. Most guys who you see retire, right? Now, they either secretly know behind the scenes they're not getting any more fights, and they come out and do the right thing, grab the microphone, look like it's their idea. And the other half, it's only about 1% that goes into a category that's not either they knew it was the end of the line, or they don't want to beat that scale anymore. And beating the scale is representative of many other things. It's a lifestyle choice. It's a disciplinary choice. There's a number of things. There's sacrifice. There's turning down different social events. But it still comes down to that. And one thing about Islam is I didn't know, is he going to follow that roadmap? And when he has had enough at 55, which the hardest thing he does is beating that scale, man. I've never seen Islam lose a round. And by the way, before you correct me and tell me he has lost a round, I didn't see it. That fight where Islam got kicked in the head and lost, I didn't see it. That fight with Sakarian, I did see it. I was in and out, but the parts that I watched were the rounds that he won. I've never seen him lose a round. And that scale is very hard. And I don't want Islam to leave the sport entirely when he truly wants to leave 155. And a lot of guys will. They don't know how. One of the all-time greats is Alexander Gustafsson, who thought he had to retire from the sport because of how grueling the training and the competition was as he was getting older. But Gus couldn't stand back and understand he was only doing main events, which does a couple of things. It puts you with the absolute best guy out there. Oh, by the way, you got to do it 70% longer than everybody else on that same exact card. Everybody with the same contract, the same pay, the same perks, you're going to do 70% more, which, of course, in training carries over. You got to have that hard talk with Gus of, hey, you don't have to leave. You're wrong. Here's what you're not seeing. And a lot of guys will leave the sport because they just don't know there's another way. You know, whatever that path might be. I don't want Islam to have to leave because he doesn't understand that he could go up to 170. Now, this was just my own internal thoughts as I observe Islam and as I observe King Khabib. Right? Well, now we got it cleared up. That's not the issue. Islam is going to go to 170, wants to go to 170. His goal and his plan is to go to 170. He just got to get the match at 170. And it's not a matter of he wants to go through the division and be a contender, be one of the boys. He's very clear that he wants to go right into a title shot, which nobody would disagree with. Now, getting that opportunity is very tough. And the one thing about that opportunity that makes it even more difficult, right, is it's almost as though a unique situation needs to present itself, which it did. It just did in April. And whether it came to fruition or not, the opportunity presented itself, which was Islam stepping into 300. Boom, title shot. But it's kind of one of those scenarios where you do need something unique, because if you just play it straight, right, If you're playing objective blackjack and you got to hit all the way up to 17, you don't take a guy outside of his division if you don't have an absolutely monstrous reason to do it, because he won't return. And none of us would blame him. We would all fully understand why a guy would rather do something, eating more, feeling better, if it's the same thing, which is world title, as opposed to pulling that off. So I just thought Islam cleared that up. I just thought it was a big deal. You know, Islam is out there, and it's largely because of Poirier. It's largely because the company is now counting on him, but they're also counting on him, and he's getting Poirier because Islam's pretty good at talking to you guys. He's pretty good at the media. You're starting to see the charm. He's relaxing a little bit. And that's just not completely within the culture of the team that, rest his soul, Coach Nurmagomedov set up. I'm not talking about Junior. I'm talking about the old man. And I wish that it would be. And maybe Islam will be the first. But it's most definitely a part of the sport. We have the right to be curious, and we have the right to hear from our main eventer and our champion. So check one off the board. We heard something from Islam, which is he's not going to retire when he's tired of making 155. He's simply going to go to welterweight.